right, so the Nintendo Direct is tomorrow, and as of right now, we don't have any real indications. We see a lot of like speculation that I think are based off of like recent patents or trademarks that Nintendo has done, but we're going into this with like no real idea as to what they're going to show. A lot of people saying Nate the Hate is a reliable source of information, but all he's doing is just going like Ocarina Time remake, Ocarina Time remake, Ocarina Time remake. Well, he was already wrong about Star Fox because he said that was going to be a new Star Fox, but it was actually just a remake. So again, Nate the Hate is a fraud. Don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So really, we're going into this thing completely blind. Okay, like people are talking about like, I don't know, NES remake style Nintendo Classics games. And that sounds really, really, really cool. And I hope that's a thing. I desperately hope that's a thing. That'd be a really cool way to like revitalize some of these older Nintendo titles. Like I loved NES remakes back in the day. So if they were able to do that, fantastic. But until then, we're kind of in this phase. We're kind of in this mindset now where we're looking at the next 24 hours. Actually, no, it's more like 18 at this point. Yeah, 18 hours. No idea what they're going to show to start with. So, again, it really could be anything. I imagine we're definitely going to get Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave's release date. I don't think we'll see Splatoon Raiders. I think they'll keep up with the Nintendo Today exclusive release schedule for that game. We'll probably see a lot of the big games for the holiday season, and it's just, what could they possibly show off? And like one of the reasons I hope the Ocarina of Time remake is not real is because we're already getting a Star Fox one. So getting an Ocarina one on top of that just feels kind of weird. I mean, maybe they're coasting off of N64 nostalgia because, you know, those games are 30 years old now, and maybe it makes sense to remake them because they are the N64 games that have endured the most, I would say, outside of Super Mario 64. I feel, looking at this schedule, though, that like I would want a hypothetical like Ocarina of Time remake to come out in like 2028, you know, at the actual 30-year anniversary. Like, to me, it doesn't really make any sense to put it out now. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. Like, Star Fox, I don't know. That's like 29 years old. So, like, I don't know. Maybe they felt that was good enough. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, again, when you're that close to an anniversary, like, why not just wait until the anniversary? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they have, like, more planned for Star Fox down the line. But, like, the way things are going now, I'm just kind of like, are we going to see more Star Fox? Because, like, the timing for this is very suspect. Because Star Fox is the next major game coming out. Like, they're going to have to talk about it. And, like, I don't know what they could possibly show off that wasn't in the Direct. Like, maybe some of the prequel chapters featuring James. Maybe there's some more single-player content that was not in the original. Because a lot of people are looking at this and saying it's a straight remake of 64, and I really don't think it is because, like, the enemy placement is different. I think they might change some of the level layouts. The story bits, I think, are going to be different. Some of the characterizations are different. Like, there seems to be, like, quite a bit of a change in what they've done for Star Fox on this game. So, like, I'm curious if there's, like, an entirely new, like, campaign in it. You know, because that would be a really interesting twist where, like, you know, they have the original campaign and then they have, like, I don't know, like a follow-up campaign or, like, some additional content. We already know about the James stuff. So, like, I'm wondering if there's, like, more original material, like, outside of that mode. And if they do it that way, that might be a really interesting way of blending in, like, new content with remake content. I can't imagine it would be that hard to do, of just have, like, an entirely different system, have an entirely different set of levels with its own roots, you know, the exact same as 64, but, like, you know, with its own unique levels. Like, that might be an interesting way to go about it, honestly, as they prepare for, like, an actual full-on sequel. We'll see, but I just don't know if I would, like, hedge all my bets on it. You know, I produced a video a while ago talking about the games I would want to see come back. You know, I did, like, you know, Elite Beat Agent, Sin and Punishment, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. There were a lot of things, and I was, like, thinking about it, and I think the game that needs to come back the most is Nintendogs. Because if you really think about it, when you look at like, the mouse controls for the Joy-Con, when you look at the Switch 2 microphone that's built into the console itself, when you look at like this thing, like what you get is this console that seems to be tailor-made to feature Nintendogs in some capacity. Because like the Wii U did not get Nintendogs, the Switch did not get it. The Switch would not have been a good fit for it. But this is going to be the first time we've seen Nintendogs come back since the 3DS era. And I feel like, much like Tamagotchi Life, I feel like people really underestimate how good Nintendogs actually is. Like Nintendogs with modern technology, with better voice recognition, with like better AI, like that's going to be insanely fun. Like Nintendogs was like really, really good to begin with. It's a really underrated DS game, honestly. So like I feel like if they actually brought it back and actually like, grew the brand and like came up with like lots of new interesting ideas for it, instead of being kind of a basic bare bones sequel like Plus Cats was, like they could have something really, really interesting on their hands. Like we'll have to see, but like that's been on the top of my list for like Nintendo IPs that need to come back for a long time. Now that Star Fox has made a full-fledged return and F-Zero is on the way back, I think Nintendogs should be next on that list. And I'm kind of surprised that more people don't bring that up. But yeah, F-Zero. F-Zero, I think. F-Zero 99 came out quite a few years ago, 2023, I think. So it's been like a long while since they unveiled that game. And like, it's been pretty active. It's been getting like a ton of support. And it was pretty obvious to me at the time that they were gearing up for like a release for the sequel. And it really surprised me, how long it's taken. But like, I do think this is going to be it, where we are going to finally see F-Zero X2, hopefully a completely in-house developed F-Zero game. I don't want like Sega involved. I don't want this to be a sequel to GX. I want this to have nothing to do with GX. Like I very specifically want this to be like an in-house F-Zero game, made with like a crazy new feature or gimmick. We'll have to see how they do it. And like considering how Star Fox looks, I imagine it's going to be way different than anything anyone's ever imagined. Because like all anybody wanted out of X was for F-Zero was for it to be more of the same, right? The amount of times I heard that like 30-player online F-Zero as if like that would like solve all of Nintendo's problems. It's like it wasn't a good idea, honestly. And we're seeing firsthand like what waiting so long is like resulting in, because I imagine the new F-Zero is going to be crazy. I imagine we could seriously get like tracks that like move, moving platforms in midair which are shooting across at 1,000 kilometers per hour. We can see like, I imagine there's going to be, like, more customization. There's going to be, like, this huge cast of characters. Like, I imagine it's going to be, like, the most hardcore racing game on the market. I imagine that's the direction they're going to go with it. We'll have to see if that pans out, if that's interesting, if that's, like, the direction they take it. Considering, like, Air Riders and Mario Kart, how they're so, like, casual friendly. I do think Nintendo does need, like, their hardcore like alternative racing game, something that's just like balls to the walls hard, because we haven't gotten any of that from them in a long time, since like the N60 GameCube era for Double Dash. Yeah, Double Dash was pretty hard. We haven't gotten a game like that out of them for a long time, so I think F-Zero is long overdue. I think it's gonna happen. Is there anything else? Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Those are the things that I expect to see for sure. Those are the things I expect to see, but like the things that we don't expect are the things that I think are going to really surprise people. One of the things people have been doing, a lot of people are freaking out about the third-party games, okay? Because, a lot of people thought that like third-party games aren't coming to Switch 2, that we're not getting any of these games, that none of them are coming out, that Nintendo's failed, that Nintendo is underwhelming people, and that they're like failing and they're not being competitive, and like people have been like spouting off about that. What's actually happening, I think, is that the major third-party devs just haven't confirmed the existence of a Switch 2 version. I think a lot of people have this idea that Grand Theft Auto 6 is never, ever, ever going to come out on Switch 2. I actually saw Dreamcast guys say Grand Theft Auto 5 is far too sophisticated and hardcore for a Switch 2, which is obviously bullshit. But like, I think, imagine how big of a deal it's going to be when Nintendo confirms that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming to Nintendo Switch 2, because it can definitely run on it. It's going to be public. It's going to be available on it. Eventually, it's just a matter of like when and how it happens. Okay. Like Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to be this huge genre defining, medium defining game like people think it's going to be, but like it's going to be a flash in the pan kind of thing. Like it's going to sell like 100 million units and like casuals are going to play it. But the reality is Nintendo has a dedicated audience that will pay more games for their software. I think that's just the difference is that for the Grand Theft Auto audience, like Grand Theft Auto is all they play and all they put money into. While you have like, Street Fighter fans or whoever who like, play a wide range of titles. You have Nintendo fans who play a wide range of titles. Like the Grand Theft Auto brand isn't ever really going to expand outside of Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead. And if they try, they're going to bungle everything in like the most embarrassing way. I'm curious at what point people are going to realize that like something like Fortnite or something like Pokemon is actually way more popular and successful than Grand Theft Auto will ever be. Like at this point, like the public has this idea that Grand Theft Auto is this like cultural phenomenon that it's like, nothing does better than Grand Theft Auto, but it's really not true. And I think we're going to see this with Grand Theft Auto 6, that when it does come out on Switch 2, when it does, like, it's just not going to be that big of a deal. Like, I don't see anybody in the Nintendo community putting this as their like favorite game of the year. Honestly, it's going to be one of those situations where this is going to sell a lot and it's going to be big with normies, but like actual gamers, anybody who plays games more than like an hour in a week, we're just going to go like, no, like I just don't take it seriously. Like, obviously I want Grand Theft Auto 6 to come out on the Switch 2 just so we can move past it, just so we can stop talking about it, just so we can stop hyping it up. But like after that, I'm not going to care. I'm probably not even going to buy the game. Okay, even if it does come to Switch 2. So again, Grand Theft Auto 6, all the rest of the third-party games, they can get bet. Okay, I am not supporting 007 First Light. I'm not supporting Elden Ring. I'm not like buying any of this third-party slop that's coming to the console. And that leads me to the big elephant in the room, the thing that I've noticed nobody aside from Max Dude is talking about, and that is the Duskbloods from Slop's exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 title, which nobody is hyped for, nobody cares about, nobody is paying any attention to. Anybody who does bring it up seems to think it's going to be like coming out in like 2027 at the earliest. Like this is it's a really weird situation. Late 2027 at the earliest, I should say. This is like one of those weird situations in which like we saw the gaming community glaze Elden Ring when that came out. They tried to call it the game of the decade. They tried to call it the best game ever made. They tried to say it was way better than Tears of the Kingdom. It was not. And now Nintendo secured a sequel, which apparently has been in development longer than Elden Ring and has way more put into it and is way more of an original game than it. And like the entire like From Slop community is just like turning their nose up at it because they don't want to support Nintendo consoles. Like, and this is the funny thing about this, because I think this is going to be like the reoccurring trend when it comes to these third-party games. Like every time one of them blows up, one of them gets an audience, one of them becomes successful, like you're going to immediately see Nintendo swoop in, secure an exclusive, and just kind of like shut the whole thing down. Like we saw it with Platinum, right? We saw it with like a ton of these other developers. Like if they try and like ignore Nintendo, like they're just going to get positively wrecked because no other publisher in the industry has as good of a track record as supporting weird fringe projects the way Nintendo does. Like Nintendo supported the Duskbloods when Sony would never put out a Bloodborne 2. They won't even put out a Bloodborne remake. Okay. Like No, actually, not only would Sony never put out a Bloodborne remake, they shut down the studio that did the Demon Souls ones. So even if you like put out a Demon Souls remake, they're gonna shut you down. Nintendo's already in the early stages of like poaching FromSlop, and hopefully goes on to acquire them from Katakawa and puts an end to this nonsense that FromSlop is like the best video game developer in the world. Like they could go the same way as a Monolith Soft back in the day, or the way Platinum should have, in that like they just become a Nintendo asset and they become just another Nintendo first party studio. We'll see. We will see if that happens. I doubt it's going to get that far. What I think is going to happen is that this exclusive is going to be the most poorly received FromSlop game ever made. Everyone's going to agree that like Nintendo just ruined the game, that they ruined FromSlop, and like FromSlop is just not what they used to be. And it's going to be the beginning of the end of this idea that FromSlop can do no wrong. Okay, because like they're gonna keep putting out games like Armored Core 6 or like Night Rain, which nobody cares about, and like when Elden Ring 2 eventually comes out, it's just gonna be more of the same, and like nobody will really care about it. Like by that point, the entire fad will have completely collapsed, and I feel like people are just not prepared for that eventuality. Like people are not prepared for FromSlop losing its relevancy for for when it stops being like a fad, essentially, because the only thing keeping these games relevant is the fad nature of it. That's it. Like when FromSlop deviated from their formula even a little bit, they got a lot of backlash, but now people are getting tired of the formula and want them to do something new. Like there's no saving them. And I think Miyazaki knows that very well, which is why he's partnered with Nintendo. He's scared. He saw Tears of the Kingdom and realized just how much better it was than Elden Ring. And like it's just something that like he can't wrap his mind around. Like it's just so far beyond his meager capabilities as a creator that it just blew his mind. And that's why he like bent the knee to Nintendo Senpai. It's just again like the Duskbloods, we are probably definitely going to see like our first major trailer tomorrow. And yet, like, nobody really cares. Nobody's really hyped for it. Like, everybody's just kind of, like, doing that thing where they're just pretending that, like, it's not going to be a big deal and that, like, Nintendo's on the way out or whatever. Like, it's a complete joke. And we have to treat it like a joke, essentially. We have to just acknowledge that these people are just desperate to downplay Nintendo no matter what. Okay? And, yeah, I don't know what else we can expect to see at this presentation. That's all I could come up with, all I expect to see. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of surprises. But until we actually see the direct, I don't want to speculate any further. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Thanks.